Are you aspiring an effective lifestyle? How do you lead yourself in a world of ever-increasing pressure and demand? Welcome to Lunch.
Oh my Lord, sing hallelujah, people. Oh my Lord, sing to the world. Follow the light, fight the good fight. God knows you're right to get on the righteous road.
Our guest today is a world-class Bible teacher, speaker, and author who has a calling to empower others towards their God-designed purpose. I'm intrigued by some of his interesting book titles, such as Mission is Like a Box of Chocolates, Extravagant, The Freedom of Limitation, Beyond Broken, and 252. Friends, let's greet Dr. John Andrews. Hello.
Hi, it's nice to be here. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good, good.
Thank you so much for making our time for lunch.
It's absolutely fine. I'm privileged to be here.
Oh, praise God. Thank you so much. So, you invest quite a lot in leadership. So, what does it take to lead self in a world of ever-increasing pressure?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think self-leadership is one of the greatest challenges we actually face because so often our emphasis is on leading other people and helping them get to where they need to go. But actually, leading yourself is virtually a 24-hour-a-day challenge. And it's something that we've got to be intentional around and think about as deliberately as we would maybe think about leading other people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where many people find the challenge is actually, how do I lead myself in those particular areas? For myself, what's really helped me is an emphasis from the Bible, even in the life of Jesus, based on Luke 2:52, where it says that Jesus grew in wisdom, he grew in stature, in favour with God and with man. And when you look at those four areas of growth, they represent intellectual growth, physical growth, spiritual growth, and emotional growth. And actually looking at that was a tremendous inspiration to me. What added to that inspiration was the fact that the word that's used there, to grow, literally means to develop and grow intentionally, to do that on purpose. And the emphasis of the word is that Jesus not only grew deliberately and on purpose, but he grew continuously. So that's become a bit of a model for me in my own leadership development as I go forward.
Okay, so what does it take to grow continuously?
It's a great question. I think a number of things will help. I think having a sense of purpose is going to help. I think having a reason to grow will help us then in the day-to-day challenges of growth. You know, if someone wants to join the gym, if they've got a good reason to join the gym, then they're more likely not only to join, but stay with it and stay with it for as long as they need. And so the purpose is really important. Somebody once said to me that if our cause is strong enough, then it helps us to become. So I think in terms of self-leadership, one of the issues that really can help us is a sense of purpose, or if that's too strong for people, a sense of direction, sense of where they want to go in the next 6 months or year or 2 years or 5 years, depending on who they are. So a sense of purpose really helps. I think the other thing that helps is a plan. And, you know, putting together step-by-step plans in the areas where we need to grow, in the areas where we need to develop. So I have a plan that literally on a week-by-week basis, I'm trying to work on the individual areas that I want to grow in, whether they be personal development, whether it be my health and well-being, or even my relationships with other people. I try to be very intentional, very deliberate. I find that if you don't get deliberate or intentional about what you want to do, it sort of gets grabbed by life and by everything else around you. So I think having a clear sense of purpose and then sitting down and working out an easy plan around that, I think that's so important in helping us to continuously develop and grow.
Okay. In your book, 252, Learning to Grow on Purpose,
yeah,
you do talk a lot about Jesus Christ, you know, how he spent 90% of his lifetime developing himself, getting ready. Tell us.
Well, I think it's important that we as Christians, because I'm a follower of Jesus first and foremostly. So it's really important that we recognize that not only that Jesus was the Son of God and our Savior, but also he was fully human, and therefore as a human, growing as a human, learning as a human, he has so much to teach us. And I know for many people, using Jesus as an example of our humanity can be difficult because they back off because they think it's Jesus. But actually, looking at Jesus, there's so much that we can learn. And Dr. Luke fully accepts that Jesus is the Son of God, but he shows us that Jesus grows in these 4 areas of wisdom, stature, favour with God and with men as a man. And therefore what I try to do in the book essentially is dig into how Jesus would have grown in those 4 areas, or to demonstrate to us the fact that he did grow in those areas. So many times when it comes to Jesus, if I can use this phrase, people sometimes can be very lazy. Well, Jesus was good with people because he was God. Jesus was wise because he was God. Jesus was physically fit because he was God. And it's true that he was God, but Dr. Luke shows us that he was strong in all those areas because as a man, he grew. And if you look at the numbers, he spends 91% of his life preparing for 9% of ministry, which is an amazing idea. Now, I'm not saying that we have to do those percentages, but it's an incredible thought that Jesus in 3 years of ministry changed the world, but he spent 91% of his life preparing for those 3 years. And I often come across an attitude today that people sort of want a quick shortcut to success. They want to be able to do things easily. They want to find the easiest route. And rarely do we have an easy route to success. Rarely do we have an easy route to growth. Actually, we've just got to put the runs on the board. We've just got to every day walk through the processes and walk through the ideas and if you like the behaviors that help to consistently make us successful. So that's why I used the example of Jesus, because if Jesus, who was the Son of God, needed to grow and needed to lead himself, then I think we do as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, he's the Son of God, and then he needed to grow in those areas: stature, grace, favor.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think we can do without those things. I think we also need to grow in those particular areas.
Yeah, I think so, and certainly in my own life. So I'm not encouraging people to do what I'm not doing. So in my own life, I try to pay intention around growing in wisdom. I try to expose myself to wise people, to wise ideas, to learning, to growth. I try to take care of myself physically. I think our physicality is part of our spirituality, and I think it's important to literally physically take care of ourselves. I would say try to stay fit for the purpose for which you've been called. I think it's important to grow spiritually, and again, that would be an everyday practice for me in terms of thinking about my spirituality. And then to grow emotionally, I think learning self-awareness, learning about the people around you, becoming better at managing yourself and also better at working with people. They're all areas that I have to work at, and they're also all areas that I try to intentionally work at, if not on a daily basis, certainly a weekly basis or a monthly basis.
For a lot of people watching today, their problem might be how to actually get their hands dirty,
Sure.
growing, because we all need to grow. We all know we need to grow.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on the areas you want to grow in, but I'm a great believer in frequency. I'm a great believer in trying to engage in areas of learning little and often. So for me, let's go back to Luke 2:52. For me, for example, in terms of wisdom, I try, for example, to regularly engage with wisdom of other teachers or people that I deeply respect, either through books or podcasts, where I can engage with their thinking. So at any one time, I've got at least one book on the go, or I'm listening to a particular thinker, or there's an idea that I'm engaging with, and so that's stimulating my wisdom. In terms of my physicality, I'm trying to have an exercise program where quite literally for 4 or 5 times a week I'm engaging in physical well-being exercises, literally to help my body recoup and recover, but also doing things that I really enjoy, doing things that increase my well-being. And so I'm very intentional about that. So as I say, 4 or 5 times a week I'm doing that. That's scheduled into my timetable. That's part of my calendar. And I'm trying to do that on a consistent basis. In terms of my relationship with God, I try to give the first 90 minutes of every day to just prayer, worship, reading the Bible. Now I know some of your viewers won't be able to do that, but if we're able to find a little bit of time every day that is intentionally given to just opening up the Bible, listening to the voice of God, prayer, worship, all of those things are really helpful. And in terms of growing myself, it's the constant challenge. I think one of the things that really helped me was becoming aware of myself. I've done a number of sort of personality profiling type approaches to allow me to understand why I am the way I am, why I like certain things, why I don't like other things, why sometimes I really get on well with certain people and struggle with other people. Those things have helped me to also grow and develop emotionally. So for your viewers, it's little and often. It's trying to do things that are practical and sustainable and attainable, and things that when we just simply do them day by day or week by week, they're going to actually add up into a journey for our lives as we go forward.
Okay, for someone watching today, they might just be wondering, how do I actually manage my time? Because obviously there's a lot competing for our times in this century.
Sure.
There's work commitment, there's family commitment,
Sure.
social, all things. So how do we make sure that?
For me, the three P's of time leadership, and I prefer to talk about time leadership than time management. So the 3 P's of time leadership are purpose, priorities, practicalities. So before you can start talking about managing your calendar, you've got to think, what is my purpose? So lots of people are just trying to squeeze more stuff into their calendar, and that's a mistake. So what is my purpose? Once you've identified what the purpose of your life is, or the direction of your life, or the primary moment of your life is, the season you're in, then out of that you start to set priorities. Some things will become more important, some things less important, some things will push up, some things will push down, but you're setting priorities. So in other words, there are things that you're going to set to the side and other things that are non-negotiable. And then out of that, your practicalities in many ways are the easiest bit. It's in terms of then getting down to your calendar and sorting out what goes where. In many ways, that's the easiest part of this. Many people find that the hardest, but it's hard only if you ignore the first 2. So if you're prepared to say, what's the direction of my life, that sets some priorities out of that, then in terms of managing what goes in and what comes out of our calendar is slightly easier. And I would give at least 1 hour, maybe 2 hours a week to calendar management in my life. I'm always looking at my calendar because I've got family, I've got marriage, I've got ministry, I've got demands. So all of those things have to be managed in the light of purpose, priorities, then your practicality. And I think if your viewers can think about their time leadership along those lines, that will really, really help, I think.
Okay, Doctor, Jesus Christ spent 91% of his time preparing for ministry. Are we expected to spend about the same time as well?
That's a great question. And the simple answer is no. So, Jesus, it can be argued, was in many ways had a unique calling, a unique life. So we aren't expected to spend 91% preparing for a career or preparing for whatever we think, maybe some of your viewers think God has for them. But the principle is a powerful one. So whatever the numbers are, the principle is powerful. I think we live in a world today where people are looking all the time for shortcuts. They're looking all the time for fast success, for easy options. What's the least I have to do to get here? And I think that's a dangerous mentality. I think anyone who's ever achieved anything in life will understand that there's a process to go through. And hopefully we can be successful relatively quickly in our world, but the idea that we can be very successful by cutting corners, by not preparing, by not putting the work in, is really, I think it's not only an alien idea in the Bible, I think even it's an alien idea to our world. Someone once said there are no shortcuts to anywhere that's worth going, and I think that's true, and I think Jesus demonstrates that. So whatever the numbers are, they will vary for all of your viewers, but I think it's the principle that in order to achieve success, whatever that means, I must be prepared to put the work in terms of personal development, development of my gifts or abilities, development of my competencies and character. All of those things are part of the package to growing on purpose, I think.
Dr. John Andrews, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
What a blessing you've been to us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your time today. If this has blessed you, why not like, comment and share? And don't forget to tag someone who needs to see this video. Stay blessed and we shall see you tomorrow.
My Lord, sings to the world.